Hey, John.
Yeah, yeah, whoa! Here we are. Welcome back. Yeah, it's been a rough week, Nick, here in South Carolina. My wife and I have both been discharging all of our winter excesses, and maybe the excesses of Bright Week here. And so I want to ask forgiveness from all of our subscribers for my laxity thing. I did get some stuff up this week, but things are
You did.
the future is bright. The future is bright.
Uh,
I've got anyway, how are you? How are you? What's up?
we're bright here in the United Kingdom. The length and breadth of this fair land. Lily white knees are making an appearance. The sun is out. We had we, we had
my sunglasses on here.
We had our first barbecue of the year this afternoon. I have to say it is one of America's great cultural exports. We don't do it quite like you Americans do, but our own poor efforts, very enjoyable nonetheless.
Do you have big neon signs that say BBQ on them? I think that to me I mean, that's as close as Americans get to kanji. Or if you just a BBQ.
BQ.
What does that stand for? Anyway, congratulations. I mean, what do you grill in the UK? Is this don't know hot dogs? Hot dogs from India? What do you?
No. So the Great British banger. So we'll a few sausages onto the barbecue. I did some hamburgers and some nice loin of pork. I think goes quite nicely.
Oh, there we go. Wonderful. Yeah, you've had corn on the cob grilled with steaks.
Well,
that's
no. My father used to grow sweet corn. So maize over here, it we can't get it to the grain stage like you can in America, but we can grow it to sweet corn stage. To grill that, of course, you need to put the whole cob on in its leaves, and that's what we used to do. But you can't really get that from the supermarket, or not any supermarkets locally here. We just get the tinned sweet corn. So it's
in South Carolina, Nick. We are in close enough proximity to Florida.
Yeah.
Which it is a shame that the English didn't try to retain after the Revolutionary War. After what the Oglethorpe battles, where they fought off the Spanish. If only the English had taken Florida, you would have ears of corn in April.
Wow.
At 50 cents an ear. Wow. I mean. That's I still work in a grocery store in Oklahoma City. Let me tell you, corn never got to 50 cents, and in April, no, it didn't exist. Yeah. Now, if you're from Iowa, you would consider this corn to be feed corn, but anyway, that's we're way off track here. Anyway, today, because it's stun the listening audience in 40 countries day.
Again.
Yes, let's do it, Nick. Let's go there. No, we've talked about this before, but we've gotten a couple of wonderful letters. And forgive me if other people have written in on our comment threads and we didn't find them in our quick scouring. I'm sure the people that have said this before will tell us, and I'll put that. We'll talk about that in our future conversations. But today we want to talk about incest, which is really at the heart of Hallmark Man. And our theorists, which include myself back in 2024, are saying that this is the likely focus of the ending and the big reveals in Strikes 9 and 10. And to get at that, we have to talk once again about which I think we should copyright this as our theory, Nick. You have to have a cute name for this. Is our 7 books and a trilogy theory about how Rowling has set this up to just totally bend the minds of her readers? Is that the first 7 books were a tight ring in lockstep with the Harry Potter series?
Yeah.
And the last 3 books are going to be a trilogy where the books all run together the way that Half-Blood Prince ran into Deathly Hallows. Now that's a wingnut theory to other people, because we know, Nick, that Charlotte is never going to appear again in the series.
Probably the most repeated theory in the fandom is we won't see, hear, or speak about Charlotte in the next book. At least for the last 4 books, that has been the most popular theory.
Oh well. The trilogy starts off with that theory. If our theory is true about how this is set, and why is that theory effective? Because you need a big twist.
Yeah,
and perhaps and wonderfully set up. Rowling, following the tradition of every series of detective fiction, has had 7 books in which the first chapter is largely the introduction to that book's mystery. And we then meet in the first part of the book, the first chapter set, the cast of characters that are going to be in that novel and its mystery. Now we have the agency carryovers, we have the family carryovers, we have the cast who is recurrent, but we get a whole new set of people with the new mystery, and they're a fascinating set of people. The mystery is resolved at the end of the novel, and that cast of characters exeunt omnes. They all exit stage left. We almost never see them again.
And I think so far so traditional. So I mean, my reading of mystery novels is fairly limited, but that seems to be how mystery novels work.
All the mystery novels that Rowling has mentioned, her favorite writers, Ruth Riddle, P.D. James, Agatha Christie, the big 4, Dorothy Sayers, that whole crowd. All of them do this. They have obviously the detective. They have his surrounding crew, and that little bubble will go through each one of the books. And it may be some overarching theme. What was Dorothy Sayers? Peter Wimsey.
Lord Peter Wimsey.
Lord, excuse me.
Yeah.
Anyway, did you hear Rowling talk about it? And you'd think that he was, oh well, she didn't like him.
No.
And he had a lover who becomes his wife. I mean, they weren't really lovers, but they were boyfriend, girlfriend. I mean, and that little bubble of characters goes through the books, but every book is a new mystery, and they travel to a different place, and they solve the crime. Wonderful. Well, Rowling sets us up, but that's what she's doing. And and her very first comments about the series, I can do this indefinitely because I a new story every year. It's like the a Christie at Christmas. We're going to do the same thing for you. Okay. We know she's not. If she's going to do Christie, she's going to put a big twist in it. She's going to out Christie. And so we get the 7 books that do all that. And we have the overarching story, but there's all these things that aren't resolved at the end of the 7 books.
Yeah.
Most notably Robin and Strike's relationship, but also Leah's death. Some would say Charlotte's death. But that there are all these mysteries they're in the past, and they're not starting out yet. And so we're thinking, we're going to continue to do the same thing with 8, 9, and 10. We're going to get a new story and a new cast of characters. We'll resolve that mystery, and then we'll head into the next book. And the overarching story, just like in Harry Potter, will be resolved maybe in the last book when everything will be tied together.
Yeah.
Isn't that wonderful? Well, Nick, as the guy who charted Running Grave and the first 7-book series and said, hey, forget all the cute little Harry Potter echoes and this and that. I mean, structurally, this is a mirror image of the Harry Potter set. We don't get really a resolution on the incest line in terms of 1, 4, and 7, but everything else pretty much lines up the way the Harry Potter novels lined up. So that would make you think that it was a closed set. And then we get book 8, and it's a monster. I mean, a serious striker who both of us admire, especially for her timelines. Louise Freeman has pretty much
Oh,
said, worst book ever. This is, and she quotes her, she reads Reddit. There are Reddit polls saying this is also the least favorite Cormoran Strike novel. And yet here we are, Nick, saying it's the best and we love it and it's the great thing and it's the key to the whole series. And that could just be because we're contrarian and we're just looking to bump our subscription rate. Get those free subscribers to become paid subscribers. Why not say something outrageous? It's the best book ever.
And all of that, of course, is true. We are contrarian. We do want to get more subscribers. But it's a strange book now for the reasons that you have elucidated. So we get a cast of characters that aren't really central to the plot of the book. We get a cast of characters that are only really central when you look at the series as a whole and you consider that the important story for Strike's improvement, completion, his trajectory is Charlotte and Charlotte's family.
Well, I was just reading something this morning while going through all of our reader comments about these types of things. Tamara, and I don't want to say her last name, Tam Spells, one of our, greatest contributors. I just love her stuff. Unfortunately, she fire hoses me sometimes, like 10 different ideas. I'm like, come on, damn it, don't do this to me. There's too much to deal with you. But one of the things I found on an old thread was she says, Ralph Lawrence, she says, I think he's going to wind up being the eagle from this Cupid and Psyche myth. Now, really, when Tamara goes mythological, you really want to pay attention because that's great stuff, right? But and then there's throwaway, which again in the flood I missed. She says, look, he's always wearing aviator glasses. He's going to be the guy that saves Robin on that last thing before she goes to hell. And I was like, oh, that is so good. But to get that, you have to believe that Lawrence is coming back. Yeah. And that he was really only in this book to set up his appearance.
Yes.
And he makes a big appearance, which really, really necessary in the epilogue to Hallmark Man. It's like, what? We really needed more resolution for him.
And we've already been introduced to an MI5 agent. So why someone new?
And someone with the initials RL.
Yeah.
Another. So this, if you read Hallmark Man and you say, "Oh, this is just a standalone book," and it's so confusing, and there's 5 possible storylines, and dead ends here and there, dead ends there, and we got people whose names look like each other. We got Rita Lindvall and who's the other RL that sounds like Rita Lindvall?
Rena Little.
Yeah. So, oh my goodness, how confusing. That's I can see the frustration, but instead of saying that's a big gaffe, why don't you assume that the author is teasing you, saying, hey, this is the bleed into the next book, and it's all going to be about RL, Robin Ellacott. Now that I want to assume that the author knows what she's doing,
And she's flooded us with all these bridge imagery. It's all bridges. This is the bridge. This is the bridge between the closed 7-part series and the finale.
And that the cast of characters we get, which was what, like 200 names, Nick? I mean, I put a post up the first week saying, okay, all of you who thought there were a lot of characters, you're well spotted, because I've written them all down here, and by God, I need a life preserver. There's too many. Yeah. And why would she do that? Why would she flood the zone? Except she's saying, oh, I'm going to use all these characters all through that. And some of these characters are so brilliant.
Yeah.
Forgive me, just Tara and Dino Lancaster. I mean, those two, and all of us. Go ahead, Nick. Raise your hand. All of us thought those were great scenes where Robin has her interview with Dino, and then Strike has her interview with Tara, and we think, oh yeah, man, they won. They beat them, and as our theorists today are saying, oh no. Tara and Dino, former husband and wife, they're laughing up their sleeve at all the stuff you don't know. Mr. and Mrs. Wise Guy, know-it-all detectives. You don't know what's really going on in the past here. And you think that Charlotte committed suicide. All right. So anyway, so that's again. Can we be wrong, Nick? Go ahead. Tell me, can we be wrong?
Well, just to push a point, it's possible. I admit the possibility.
Yeah, we can be wrong. This could be just the worst novel ever. Rowling got this close to the end of the longest series she's ever written, and she's just totally gaffed it. She spent 3 years writing it, and
and if it turns out that Strike 9 has none of those characters, just the barest callbacks to the previous book, and is a traditional country house murder mystery, I think we can hold up our hands and say, well, we got that one wrong.
We read the Charlotte suicide note and they call us out specifically and say, and you crazies at Hogwarts Professor. All right. I really off myself. There was no coercion involved in this at all.
Oh, do you know what, John? I mean, obviously on a level that would be crushing because my theory's wrong, but just what an honor to get called out. I mean.
Oh, well, Nick, have there been any Nicks inside the book yet? I mean, Louise Freeman noticed that the first book has John Bristow as batshit crazy, self-involved guy. And then Elizabeth Tassel, for Elizabeth Barrett Hardy, she's the crazy in the second book. And then Louise gets some good things. Louise is a good character, I think, in Lethal White, but she winds up in the bottom of a well in Troubled Blood. And so Louise was saying, hey, I think we can assume that, Rowling is reading her critics.
Yes.
Have there been any Nicks? Have you had any Nicks yet?
So I am a balding, middle-aged gastroenterologist who has recently become a father.
Oh, and I believe this is like Louise's show. I believe Louise believes that you might be the person who killed Lita Strike.
It's possible, but that's not a theory I'm going to lean into.
You could be one of the principals at the end of the story. All right. I didn't see much of Nick in Hallmark Man, so
no.
Does he even get a mention? Anyway, we got to see his wife, but that was about it. All right. So let's I'm gonna bring up the theories here. Let's start off with Rubes. I think we're gonna do these in backwards order in terms of chronology.
Okay.
Rubes wrote us on March 5th. Lancaster is also a form of Lancaster. We saw on the charm bracelet that it has the White Rose of York, where our Robin hails from. Could this be a reference to the War of the Roses? This is not really part of the theory. Dino also means little sword, which might be an in-joke about his equipment. Thank you, Rubes. Always happy to have someone make a penis joke here. I agree with John that we have definitely not seen the last of the Lancasters. For my theory on how Dino and Charlotte were lovers, see, and she has her thing here. Now, I copied that here. Yeah. I think Charlotte got involved with Dino as a teenager, whether willingly or not. That is why she ran away and attempted to kill herself. Now remember that Dino was Charlotte's stepfather at that point, right? She told her mother, Charlotte told her mother Tara, who disbelieved her or knew it, and it is the source of their conflict. Dino was also maybe the stepfather that tried to have her committed. Sounds like a likely story.
Yeah.
I love this. Dino and his daughter gave me Ivanka and Donald Trump vibes. I think is it safe to say that means it made her uncomfortable, Nick? Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe he sublimated that incestuous desire with young Charlotte. He is also obsessed with looks and perfection, and we know Charlotte as Venus is the epitome of beauty. I think Charlotte either extorted him all these years or else continued the on and off affair so he would help support her lifestyle. Oh, I mean, incest always has an ick factor, but this, Nick, is just like, All right. He might even be the father of the twins. All right. Now this Rubes, I love this. It would support both the false paternity and incest themes in the Hallmark Man. We also have multiple examples of stepfathers grooming, abusing their stepdaughters throughout the series. Robin also might be a reference to the Dutch Robin, which means ruby. This could be a reference to the rubetto or final alchemical stage. Or maybe she confesses, I'm projecting because it's also my name. Ha ha. All right. Now, really, Rubes, this is great. This is great stuff. And again, if you don't accept that the last 3 books are going to be a trilogy, you're gonna say, well, Dino Lancaster, he's not going to be in the next book. Yeah. But if you see the last 3 books as a trilogy where we're going to get the whole Charlotte and Lita, exposés, wow, this is a great theory that Dino is the father of the twins, and then that's going to play out in terms of how Jago Ross finds out that he's not the father of these children that he's doing, and he thinks it's Strike, and that brings us to the next theory. I don't want to.
Do we get a description of the twins? Because we know Dino has very strong genetics.
That's right. The big round face, right? Okay. Yeah. Oh, wow. So there we go. Ed Shardlow, call out to Ed Shardlow. Give me that. Let me know if those kids have round faces. Ed, all right. Of course, Ed knows that at the top of his head. He doesn't have to look it up. All right. Or Sandy. Where's Sandy? This is really the true believers. All right. All right. This next comment, this next theory is from Fiona F. And she wrote to me directly. I love Fiona because her name reminds me, of course, of Harry Bingham and his detective, who is at least as disturbed a person as Robin seems to be turning out to be.
Yes.
And apparently Fiona, the detective, is coming back this year, Nick?
Yeah. So on Harry Bingham's website, I think towards the end of last year, he said, watch this space. There's a new book coming out in 2026. We've been waiting a long time, haven't we, John? Not as long as some, but we have been waiting a long time.
Okay. All right. So Fiona writes to me, and she says, in response to a post by Cheryl Rose Aurochs. I don't know who Cheryl Rose Aurochs is or where this was posted.
So she's a commenter. She started commenting on our YouTube site, which really just reposts our Substack stuff. So isn't as monitored by us maybe as much as we should do. Cheryl has started commenting on the Substack site now. Thank you, Cheryl. It's much more visible on the Substack site.
Well, and I'm sorry if this is all consequent to your theory. I should have looked this up or asked you about this, Nick. All right. And I'll put it down below if we find this after we have this conversation. In response to a post by Cheryl Rose Aurochs on 17 February 2026, thank you, Fiona, for making it easiest for us to find this. My current theory is that Dino Lancaster is Charlotte's father. Ooh. And that now this is not Dino
so an incestuous relationship between the stepfather and stepdaughter. This is Dino Lancaster is the father of Charlotte.
Right. That Dino had an affair with Tara while she was still married to the Campbells,
Yeah.
and that she married him consequently. She shamed him into marrying her because she's Charlotte's father. Now, this may be why Tara hates him, whatever. Right.
Yeah.
But Dino's son, Valentine Lancaster, will be revealed as her abuser and the possible biological father of Charlotte's children. Hence, the second incest storyline will also involve the Lancaster family. This could be why Charlotte's mother, Tara, despised Charlotte so much. Okay, this is great stuff.
Okay.
If Diego Ross is somehow linked to the matter of the DNA test involving Bijou and Strike, it may be because he had Charlotte's birth children DNA tested to confirm parentage. Maybe Diego discovers he is not the biological father and assumes Strike is, hence the reason he wants to obtain Strike's DNA results. Just a thought. So maybe Diego is actually the father of Ottilie. No.
Wow. Okay.
So here's Diego, the hunter, sending out Bijou to get Strike's DNA. Now, I mean, again, this is one of Rowling's. Why doesn't he just steal a coffee cup or something? But anyway, he wants an actual semen sample or whatever, or a swab.
Yeah.
I'm sure he'd like a semen sample. Anyway, so what we get instead is Bijou. She knows the baby is not Strike's, but she's getting paid by Diego to deliver this stuff, so that it's a big surprise. Well, imagine Diego's surprise when he finds out that Strike isn't the father either. All right, we've left Fiona's thing, but Fiona, that's great.
Yeah.
Because Diego Ross is great value. In terms of Rowling's class bias and everything. I mean, he's like a the cartoon figure, the Snidely Whiplash of the series. Is there a Diego Ross fan out there? Shout out to all the Diego Ross fans in fandom.
I think there are more Matthew Cunliffe fans than there are Diego Ross fans.
Seriously, wouldn't it be great to have? Having Diego married to Charlotte was so good. Just so wicked. You actually felt sympathy for Charlotte. That's kind of weird. So now we find out that Valentine may be the daddy to Charlotte's birth children, which leads you. I think maybe this is what Fiona is saying, is that Valentine, it was also the father of not only of Charlotte's children that go with Diego, but with the child that she conceived supposedly with Strike.
Okay.
Now, this is making Valentine Lancaster into maybe the big bad guy. I still think Sasha Lagarde has got to be my lead character for the murderer of Charlotte Campbell. Despite all the Shakespeareans out there that just know so well that I've misinterpreted that Romeo and Juliet line. Because we know Shakespeare was not Bacon. We know this. Anyway, this you want to go into the weeds to start talking Shakespeare and watch all the clown show come out among the academics. All right. Anyway, back to Fiona and this theory. Valentine Lancaster has to shoot to the top of the list because of how despicable he is inside Hallmark Man. He's on drugs, he's verbally abusive. We get the whole pit pony thing. I mean, really, anybody that calls Ellacott bad names has got to shoot to the top of the list of everybody's. He's the killer. We want him to go to the chair. We want him, we want him to really be twisted. Thumb screws. Nothing is too bad for the person who calls Ellacott a pit pony. And we're so set up to hate him, I have to think there's no way he's actually the bad guy. Sadly.
No.
But
the way I read that conversation, the interview between Valentine and Robin, is that however horrible Valentine is, he really believes that Strike did something terrible to Charlotte on the day she supposedly committed suicide, which for me puts him in the clear. I think if he was the murderer, he would already know that throwing that line to Robin wouldn't work, because Strike has said to Robin that they didn't talk that day, and there's no reason for Strike to, because there's any number of good reasons why Strike would have talked to Charlotte that day. But with no agenda, Strike has told Robin, we didn't talk. And he blames himself for not picking up the phone. That's why he feels bad.
So who would have called Charlotte on the day of her death? Let's not say murder or suicide. Let's just say death.
Who and how did Valentine get his good source of information that says that Strike did? That's either from what he believes is Charlotte, that's a suicide note, or somebody else told him. And whoever wrote that suicide note, or whoever told Valentine, is the murderer.
The cast of characters that would have had this thing is going to be Tara.
Yeah.
Dino.
Yeah.
His father. Or
Sasha.
Well, I was Sasha too, but I was thinking Amelia.
Yeah.
That someone has told Valentine about this.
Yeah.
Of course, it could have been Charlotte. He could have been in touch with her himself. So, but all of them involve Longcasters in some respect, right? Or terror relations. Whew. Getting pretty involved here, Nick.
Yeah.
Now, let's go to this letter I wrote to the moderator channel. I actually called it.
That's 2 years ago now.
Yeah, and this was I titled this timestamp, because I wanted to put a marker down. And I talked about this.
Yeah.
This early. Unfortunately, timestamp meant that I put it away. I didn't look at it again, which is such a shame. All right. So I'm gonna read this. And a lot of it is just wrong-headed because it's before Hallmark Man. So you can see, how crazy we were about this. I write out further thoughts on our conversation yesterday, Nick. This moderator channel stuff is, I write to Nick and everybody else gets blind carbon copied or carbon copied on this. About the pointers in Rowling's latest Q&A to Strike being a child of incest. I want to put them down as a timestamp, if you will, that we were talking about this before it became a subject of speculation and online conversations about Hallmark Man. Here are the chief points of that speculation, how it may play out in Strike 8, a quick review of incest in Rowling's work, and some thoughts about the mythology, etc. Okay. It all begins with the mystery pregnancy that broke the Campbell-Strike engagement at the start of Cuckoo's Calling. Charlotte had a DNA test to see if her baby was Strike or Ross's. This is speculation, obviously. Yeah. She found out that it was Strike's, that it had Down syndrome or some other genetic abnormality, and that Strike wasn't related to Rokeby. She cannot tell him about the test because it would reveal her infidelity with Ross. She murdered the womb infant because she couldn't imagine being a mother to a special needs child. And that's highlighted pretty strongly about she's going to have Ross's child and then she's just going to forget them. At least she said that's what she was going to do. She spills all, however, in her running grave suicide note, which we haven't read. Her sister decides not to tell Strike because he's such a bastard at their meeting with his know-it-all attitude about pathetic Charlotte. If the Met saw the note, someone there knows the truth, even if they destroyed their copy. Q Anstis, Wardle, or even Murphy as possible sources for his learning about it this way. Charlotte's having twins with Iago is a nice echo of the next behind the twin births of Castor and Pollux. Because there's confusion. Castor and Pollux are born, and it's got two fathers, right? I mean, it's this weird stuff. And so Charlotte's, to explain that reference, Charlotte is, you know, if she's having children with Iago and somebody else. All right. The last chapter of Hallmark Man, then, this is my prediction, where his world is changed forever, is Strike reading Charlotte's suicide note, not this silly scene on the agency staircase. Anyway, this was, I predict this was going to be part of the resolution of her murder case. Rowling says in Q&A that she was going to put Charlotte's death in Strike 8, but decided on Running Grave instead to set up the Charlotte case in Strike 8. I speculated. His mind is blown along with his self-image and understanding. All right. Remember, this is all speculation prior to Hallmark Man. Bijou, however, is the more likely avenue of his learning about his not being Rokeby's son, if not about his incestuous conception. As you said yesterday, Nick, no one having relations with Bijou, relations that she claimed resulted in conception, would accept that finding without a test. The QC and Strike would have to have DNA tests for this process to work. Question mark. I think, yeah, this is what happened actually in Hallmark Man.
Yeah.
If her DNA test to establish paternity fingers Strike, and the fetus has a genetic defect of some kind, I don't think we didn't see any problems with Audley there.
No.
He can compare his own DNA test or the child's with his half-sister's Prue's DNA test, she being the other illegitimate child whose existence would have prompted testing. Note to self and to Nick, need to check their relative ages and the availability of true DNA testing at the time of her conception. And I think, Nick, you responded that in 1984, you could actually get DNA testing. All right.
That's not a full sequence, but you could get a DNA test.
All right. A no match finding there means, as you said, that Rokeby is either not Prue's father or not Strike's, and she has a definitive test to prove she is the Rocking Prune's daughter. Now, this is where it gets crazy. If grandfather Nancaro is the father of Strike, you know, in effect, that Lita's father sexually abused her and conceived Cormoran Strike. Dennis Creed is the embedded story pointer to Strike's story, with the psychopath's life mirroring Cormoran's beginnings, with the crucial difference that our hero never knew his grandfather. The Rosmare's home backdrop to Lethal White, with its suicide finish consequent to a woman's discovering that her father had been her lover, is also a nice touch. Now, this is getting into all the incest backdrop inside the books. Holly and Noel Brockbank are the brother-sister incest partners that are Rowling's tip of the hand if Ted is the father. Let's assume grandfather Nancaro was abusive to both children, and they had relations as a part of their bonding of living in a violent home. Or had Ted learned that his wife was barren before 1974? Regardless, his embrace of Cormoran as his son makes a lot more sense because he has no children with Joan. Joan's discomfort with Lita, too, in this light, has a lot more to do with the incest involving her precious husband than with Lita's lifestyle choices. Strike's mother's ability to drop off her children in St. Mawes, too, and her hold on the Nancaro brother and sister-in-law is total if she knows about the true paternity, which obviously she would know. Her suicide, then, Lita's, like Charlotte's, turns on the reality of Strike's conception. That is, that he is the grandfather or Ted's son, not Rokeby's. If Lita committed suicide, it may have been because she had learned that her secret was coming out, or would only not come out if she were dead. It seems far more likely, however, that she had told Ted or Joan that she was going to tell the now adult Cormoran that Rokeby was not her father. And that would make sense because she hasn't taken his money in a long time, which moved Ted to take decisive action to protect Cormoran and bury the secret of his incestuous origins forever. Now, back to Charlotte.
Wow.
If Charlotte knew via the DNA test she took when she was Strike's fiancée and pregnant, revealed that he was not Rope's son, and she was foolish enough to talk with Ted about it, now that he lives in London, or Lucy, the family member who hates Charlotte more than all the others, the cast of Campbell Ross murder suspects grows to include Strike's only surviving family not related to Rope. Lucy's hatred of Charlotte, her obsession with reputation, not wanting to be associated in any way with incest rather than with a celebrity sleuth half-brother, and her sudden switch at the end of Running Grave to embracing her brother's decision not to marry or have children, because she realizes the odds go way up for birth defects and the offspring of children of incest, move Lucy to the front of the line of Charlotte murderers. All right, Nick, you said the biggest hurdle to clear is how the 1975 paternity test that Lita took after Strike's birth fingered Rope. If those tests at that time only identified paternity, i.e. the father, why would they test for the mother, right? Then all that was necessary was DNA from one of Rope's children. It would help, too, if the test was done in a lab where the SIB had connections that Redcap Ted Nancaro could exploit. In that case, all Ted needed to have done was lean on a laboratory technician or bribe one. The necessary conspiracy here, Lita convincing Rope to have sex with her in public. We now know it wasn't in public. She was in New York because she wanted to score the Blue Oyster Cult lead singer. Soon after learning she was pregnant after a tryst with her father or with brother Ted, and her joining her in the ultimate pregnancy trap, his joining her in the ultimate pregnancy trap, Ted conspiring with Lita to get Rope on the hook, is the part I find hard to get my mind around, a hurdle higher than manipulating the test results. All right. Children of incest are much more likely to have conception issues and to have children with birth abnormalities. I gave 3 links in the thing. Birth defects and infertility are not predetermined in such cases, just 25 times more likely. 1% in non-incestuous conceptions, 25% in incestuous conceptions. Now let's talk about incest as a golden thread, Nick, because I know you're just dying to hear incest as a golden thread. I cannot, off the top of my head, this is in 2024, think of any flat-out instances of incest or inbreeding in the Hogwarts septology or the Beast films. The publishers of a children's book series and the makers of the PG film adaptations would not allow that, right? I think it's fair to say.
Yeah.
But the Marvolo Gaunt family certainly would be a fit with this, with this psychological profile, given their pure blood obsession, as much as that would foster an opening to marrying cousins or having sex with closer relations. Credence Bear, and that's really the heart of the Harry Potter stories we've covered elsewhere. The core crime of Harry Potter is the abuse of Merope Gaunt by her father and brother. Credence Barebrone's tortured story turns out on illicit conception, but the foundation crimes here are the conception of Corvus Lestrange, the fruit of a couple who are first cousins, qualified incest, and the conception of Lita Lestrange with Camma's mother under the effects of the Imperious Curse. Sirius Black's comments to Harry Potter in Phoenix before the Black family tree highlights the inbreeding of pure blood wizard families, all of whom, it should be noted, other than the Weasleys, are a little bit crazy, right? Now, a large part, so that's Harry Potter, Fantastic Beasts. A large part of the Wall family drama and Casual Vacancy.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Cubby's fears, Tessa's anxieties about her adopted son are revealed in the conversation Mom has with Fats in the end in the car about the likelihood that he is a child of incest.
The whole series of truth bombs she laid down. That's right.
Right. And really the suggestion that the man who raped Crystal Whedon was also her father.
Or at least we know it was her mother's lover, and could
That's
well
right.
be her father.
A lot of incestuous things there, or at least
Yeah.
her little boy's father, her little brother's father. All right.
Yeah.
I can't think of any incest or inbreeding references in the Ichabod or Christmas Pig.
So
Rowling's work most directly aimed at a child reading audience. However bizarre the bonding of Ichabod offspring is, and
now,
the fog about their conceptions, given that there is only one surviving member of the race. And Nick, I want you to, we've talked about this.
you can't
You've got
get
an idea.
more incestuous than parthenogenesis. So this is fertilizing your own eggs.
Yeah, this gets into, I was just reviewing last night for a post I'm writing. Rowling's, one of the most important posts she put up. Someone asked her the brilliant question, what beliefs have you changed?
Yeah.
I think the first belief she said she changed was nature nurture,
Yeah.
where she really believed that it was all nurture. And then her study of genetics pushed her over the line to think that, yeah, there's a lot of nature in there as well. Now, the Ichabod, Nick, I mean, what do you think? Are the Ichaboggles, or whatever they're called, are they nature or nurture? What is that about?
So with parthenogenesis, the nature is a carbon copy. They are a carbon copy genetically of their parents, because there's no mixing of DNA going on there. But the characters of the two Ichaboggles that we get to see are entirely different, because the nature of the Ichaboggle is set at the moment of their birth, of their first breath. So we have one Ichaboggle that is born amidst violence and becomes the aggressive monster Ichabod. And then we have one Ichaboggle that is born in love and compassion and becomes like the parent Ichaboggle, a loving and kindly Ichabod. That's all nature condensed. That's all nurture condensed into a moment in time.
It's very astrological, because
Yeah.
some people say, what is the whole mechanism of astrology where the moment of birth is your thing? Well, I mean, is that your first breath? This is true of all astrological systems, incidentally, not just Western astrology, but it's true of Nine Star Key. It's true of Hindu astrology. I mean, is that when you take in your first breath, the spirit of that moment is charged with all of the astrological influences. And it is what charges every cell in your body and largely shapes, who you are. And so Rowling makes that part of the Ichaboggle thing, only it's not the imperceptible influences of the stars and the planets. It's the breath you take of the atmosphere in which you're born. She makes it much more of a psychological issue in terms of your family at birth. Anyway, fascinating. So you're saying the Ichabod, is only the Christmas Pig stands outside all of this.
Yes.
All right. I mean, we do have the bizarre relationship in Christmas Pig between sister and brother there, but we're gonna put that off to one side. Okay. All right. If the Strike series turns on this is back to my 2024 piece. If the Strike series turns on Cormoran's incestuous conception, the incest idea has to jump to the top of the Golden Thread list of themes and plot points that permeate her work, along with sacrificial mother love, bad dads, pregnancy traps, abortion and dead children, and the women who grieve for or died to protect them. And at that point, the conversation, people were like, John, stop. And I'm like, okay, we'll stop there. Because you really can't, the incest argument in terms of, this is, we're talking shed artistry here, right, Nick?
Yes. Yeah.
This is shed artistry. This is a golden thread that runs through her books. So be it. We'll let those people who want to invite lawsuits talk about lake elements. Not us, Nick, because we don't like controversy here.
Well, John, we love controversy, but really there's not much to say. So I mean, there could be a lake element, but we don't know. Even less so than the Lost Child Golden Thread. There's even less than we can say about it because there's even less to know.
Yeah, I mean, the abortion thread, as much as it scandalizes people and we're dredging the lake, etc. Sorry. We have a moment in Rowling's, she says that every one of her books has a lake inspiration.
Yeah.
And yet we don't know what that lake inspiration is for Harry Potter. We do know when she was inspired to write Harry Potter. And we know that relationship broke down. And we know that there's all sorts of elements in there having to do with that. And if you take that lens and look at the books, the Harry Potter books, there's some fascinating things. And I'll put a link down below. We've talked about this before. I don't see any we don't know anything about this. There's no opening like that in the biography to say this, that. I mean,
we haven't got an opening where we can rule anything in or rule anything out.
That's right. And when you take that filter and look at the books, you might get a plot point that's going to play out. But that's where we're at, really, is to say, okay, we got this golden thread. How does this work in terms of the rest of the book? Well, boy, incest has jumped to the top of the thing here, because incest, if you do the incest golden thread, Nick, I mean, it's every book.
Yeah.
It's at least it's sibling violence, and especially sexual relations between brother and sister, or father and daughter, or grandfather and daughter.
Yeah.
Wow, this is a huge piece of what Rowling is doing, because if we're right, then we've got either Charlotte has incestuous relationships with Valentine, or Ted or his father had relationships with Lita. What else have we got here, Nick? I mean, what other incestuous relationship? How all this plays out is everybody trying to conceal this taboo violation, and they're being involved in it somehow.
Yeah.
And messed up by it. Like, how does Tara Campbell, Lancaster, et cetera, how does she get so messed up? I mean, this woman is so attractive, and so many men want to marry her, and yet you meet her, you think, no, I would never want to get involved with that.
No.
What happened to her? And why would she have such bad relationships with Charlotte? Now, Strike makes it out to be, he just doesn't even think about it. That's always a red flag when Strike does she was just jealous because she was so beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, that might have sailed, that may have been the opinion that he arrived at when he first met them. But how does that pass the Cormoran Strike test that we know? I mean, we know Cormoran Strike as this man who sees through things. He really has perception.
That's right.
He steps back and has a larger view. But when he throws this, he doesn't even look at Tara and say, "Why are you such a dog's mess? What has put you through all of this?" And he doesn't notice that she's got 5 names.
But this is incest is it works on so many levels as a great plot device, particularly within family environments, because it has that ick factor. It has that stigma
this is a bog of ick. Yeah,
Yeah.
this
Oh,
is
yeah. It is something that even family members on the periphery of this would want this kept quiet, would not want people talking about this. Aside from the criminal aspects and the moral aspects, this is a blot on any family's escutcheon. This is something to conceal to the world. And as we
and
know,
uh,
you hide
here's here,
something, it festers.
we've talked about um, if you looked at Rowling and you said this is in the conversation about Jung versus perennialists type
Yeah,
things. If you're looking at Rowling, do you think of her as primarily as a writer or as a psychologist?
she's a
And
writer.
we say she's a writer. But Nick, if I told you that there was a point where writer and psychologist meet, what is the one theory that a psychologist said is in every man and his development, basically the foundation of every Freudian family romance, has the title of a Greek play?
It's got to be
That
Oedipus or Electra.
that's right.
Yeah,
And so that Rowling would make incest and its ramifications and playing out is really to say, as a writer consumed by myth and who's well studied in psychology, wow, why wouldn't you go there? You
yeah,
don't need a lot of lake elements. You could just say, okay, the only lake elements you need are bibliographical rather than biographical.
yeah.
You would know that Nabokov's last novel of note, Ada, is a novel about brother-sister incest. Now, Rowling's never mentioned that novel. Do you think she's read it, Nick?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
So that if she's made incest the heart of this book and the big twist, remember she's always aiming at the biggest twist possible.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that, but a twist that has to be credible. If we hadn't had brother sister, I mean, you look back at John Bristow and his much younger sister. Do you think that John Bristow wouldn't have been abusive to his younger sister? He murdered his brother.
Yeah.
You know, what's to say he didn't decide, well, I don't like this little girl, so I'm going to mess her up. And you know, Lula Landry was messed up. That all right, so every book we get this. I think, Nick, that Rubes and Fiona and Cheryl, all those people that have been talking about incest as the real finish to this book, that really folds neatly with what we've been talking about since 2024 about incest as a golden thread in the work. What we get in your face in Hallmark Man, where, you know, incest, which is disgusting. Now, there's another theory, and it wasn't on our list of things to look at here, but I'm forgive me, I'll try to find it and put it down below. And that's that Rupert actually killed Charlotte. That Rupert was, you know, that whole thing with Decima
That
and
was happening at
Lion,
that time. Yeah.
and that Tara was aware of it, and so to get Rupert off the hook, she says, "You only have to do me one favor. You have to murder my daughter." You know, and really, it's just going to be, you know, knocking her out, cutting her wrists. Out you go. And Rupert is like, I got to get out of here. I'm about to go to jail. Now, that would be great, because not only do we get Rupert, who's kind of despicable, you know, at the end of it, but
Yeah.
he sort of made up with Decima. Again, we're set up entirely to, you know, because we have that the exit scene where Robin talks about how, the scene with Decima talking to Robin and Strike and all is, it's a happy family now. Rupert's there, and obviously they can't be husband and wife, but they can still. This lion's going to grow up in a much better situation than I did, and you're getting this. Everything's being tied up into a nice little bow. And then the next book, oh my goodness, Rupert is back, and Rupert's on the suspect list. Really imagine the ripple through fandom when they realize, oh no, John and Nick were right. Now they realize, oh no, these last 3 books are going to be the play out. What are we going to learn?
Yeah.
Because we really, whether we find out that Charlotte was murdered or committed suicide, there's something dicey about it. We don't know really what happened. We don't know what's in that letter. So however you feel about the Charlotte was murdered theory, and you're wrong if you don't think she was murdered. I mean that whatever you think about that, you have to acknowledge that we don't know what happened. And there's some real overlay. She's dropped a text that we haven't read inside the story and said it was destroyed. Well, we're going to find out with that. Come on. Chekhov's manuscript. Call it that. We're going to find that thing. And the Lita Strike mystery. Whoa, we got all this information from Rokeby. They were lovers. They 20 times they met or something. I was like, okay, this is like saying that we're not going to see Johnny Rokeby again. If you say that we're not going to get this cast of characters, because Rokeby appears on the scene finally. Yeah. Why does he appear on the scenes? Because he's going to play a large part in books 9 and 10. He doesn't appear until book 8 because it's 8, 9, and 10.
Wait, you're saying he wasn't introduced because he knows a lawyer? I thought it was because he knows a lawyer.
Well, isn't it funny that we first meet Rokeby, and he's talking with a lawyer about paternity.
Yeah.
And about how unjust this is that he's been defamed and this and that. I mean, Rowling is really. Give the woman some credit. I mean, the woman is just so brilliant at the plotting and the stuff. You're going to look back on and do how did I miss that? It's so, clear. And this is what makes Hallmark Man such a great book, is that very few people, Nick, serious strikers who read Hogwarts Professor, I think primarily that audience, are the only ones that are really talking about Hallmark Man as the ball on the tee, for the hole being played.
And as just read the comments on our Substack site. This book, in terms of having food for theories, is a target-rich environment. I think deliberately. People talked about, why is this cast so huge? Why are there 5 different suspects? Why is it so complicated? It's for this reason.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was Ed Shardlow that first came up with the whole RL business.
Yeah.
And is that like the gummy candy at the bottom of the bag? I mean, you just keep looking and looking, and Ed, to his credit, he snapped that up. It's like, look at all these RLs. I'm like, man. I don't think I ever would have made that connection. And then somebody, I think it was Ed. Who knows? Someone else said, yeah, Robin Ellacott. I was like, so good. That kind of complexity, as you say, that is what makes this book so rich. She's not giving it all away.
No.
But she's definitely saying, start combing, brothers. There's a lot of stuff in there. Now, I was for another post I'm writing. You said that Rowling has said that she's only halfway through Sleep Tight, Evangeline.
Yes. Just about halfway through. I think she tweeted last week. Which means
I spent a long time yesterday trying to find that tweet. But I should have written you, obviously. I mean, this is all right. But yeah, so if she's only halfway through Sleep Tight, Evangeline, We're not getting it. We're not getting a book by Christmas time, Nick.
No,
I mean,
not this year.
And only this meeting with Strike fans, who is, because she doesn't usually reveal the title until she's done with the manuscript.
Yeah.
Um,
sometimes long after.
Playing with your superstition here.
Yeah.
What happens to us, Nick, if something unfortunate happens to J.K. Rowling, Robert Galbraith? I mean, we spend the rest of our lives wondering what maybe Harry Bingham writes the last two books.
Maybe.
Terrible. Someone wrote in the other. Oh, it was in the again for a post I'm writing. Just yesterday, I think, someone wrote about how her son is reading her daughter is reading Half-Blood Prince and woke up and left a note saying, "Dumbledore is dead. I am so sad." And the woman tweeted and tagged Rowling saying, "Thank you so much for this series and the engagement that my daughter has with these characters and what's going on." And Rowling went back and said, "Yeah, my 9-year-old son, when he read the books, I don't think he woke up or something." And his conversation, the first thing he said to her was, "So why did you kill Dumbledore?" Anyway, that's and someone wrote some great stuff in there afterwards. All people rushing to write, saying how much they're loving reading to their grandchildren these books they loved, reading to their children the books that they loved. This is a project that I'm working on. Nick knows about. Now that was really, and someone inside that thread wrote and said, "Your son is the only person who can say, 'You think your mother's a big deal? My mother killed Albus Dumbledore.'"
What does Rowling say? A writer needs to have a chip of ice in their heart.
I think she always cites Graham Greene when she says that. Yeah, but she said that at least 3 times in her.
Yeah.
I don't know if she has a chip of ice in her freezer she pulls out when she wants to write these scenes, or she has a frozen heart mold she puts on her desk.
I think she pulls that trademark cheeky grin of hers when she's doing something particularly horrible and thinks that'll get him. That'll get him.
That's the cigar on the yacht picture, Gotcha. And I mean, we're 4th generation Rowling Studies people here. We push really hard that this is pretty much going to be what we do in the online course. The course is going to be called Lake, Shed, and Golden Threads. In that we're going to go through the whole books and show you all the shed tools that she uses. We're talking about the lake elements, the bibliographical stuff, and the 15 golden threads that run through this book. And incest is one of those golden threads. Now, that's what we do. And we look down our noses. I have a pronounced proboscis here. I look down my nose alone about people that just focus on the latest book and are just trying to speculate about the next book on the horizon. But that's exactly what we're doing, because it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're not doing that with Rowling's books when she's writing a series, come on. I mean, this one's put a lot of effort into this, right, Nick? I mean, you should at least, an appreciation for the effort. You should be trying to figure it out because she wants you to be trying to figure it out. As you said, she's loaded Hallmark Man with all of these possibilities, saying, this is your chance to be Psyche with all of those grains and beans spread across the floor. Go ahead and sort them out and you figure it out. You've got so much time before the next book hits us. And today we just want to talk about that fans have these theories. And the fans are leaning into the incest thing. And I say 3 cheers, because if you look at Rowling's work all the way through it, you have that incest golden thread going through it. if you look at the Cormoran Strike story, boy, there's a lot of crazy things. Like why Strike would look at Tara, Lagarde, Lancaster, Campbell, Hilton, whatever, that why would he look at her and not say, gosh, why did she break up with Campbell? And why does she have this hate for Dino Lancaster? And why does she hate her daughter so much? And why was Charlotte so messed up? And who was the father of that child, if not me? And he doesn't ask any of those questions.
No.
He can see through everybody. But when he looks in the mirror, he sees nothing. The things that he believed when he was 18 are the things he believes about him and his family and his relationships.
I think it's because Strike, like so many others.
Not me, Nick. I am so reflective and thoughtful.
You are.
I don't have any of these issues.
You are. You are. No, you really are. But Strike, like so many others, honestly believes that's it. We're not going to see, hear, or talk about Charlotte in my next case. And of course he's wrong.
And just like Harry Potter, because we see the story from inside Strike and Robin's perspective, and we so admire their insights about the cases, we just don't acknowledge the fact that both of them are willfully blind about their own histories.
Yeah.
Robin has all this, hand twisting stuff about Charlotte, the whole Artemis Aphrodite, twist there. She can't see that she's much more attractive than Charlotte is. And so she's just paralyzed by that. She doesn't ask any questions about Charlotte. All she does is just freeze up and lock up like, frozen rabbit, when rabbit symbolism, Nick. We got a lot of rabbit symbolism. Yeah. Anyway, but that problem that Robin has, she's so self-reflective. She'll be talking to herself. Don't think this, don't think that. She's always trying to get her mind to figure it out. But she never says to herself, could there be more to this Charlotte thing than just my being terrified of the woman and jealous of her? Nope. And Strike, she's a virus. And I have to put her out of my head. And he's like a 12-step guy with Charlotte. Fine. But you idiot. She's a live player in your drama. And then we get this case with incest. And have any of them, noticed, gosh, incest seems to play a thread all through this work. Lethal White, the big turn in the 7-book series, has the killer sleeping with his mother. Stepmother, but still, he's sleeping with his mother. Nick, if again, the whole psychology and writer, psychologist versus a writer thing. Yeah. And she puts Oedipus in the center of the 7-book series. I'm sorry, as you said, it's Oedipus or Electra. Girls love their daddies and boys love their mommies. And Rowling has decided, okay, if everybody has that as their core psychological issue, they're imprinting on what it means, how they relate. Every man marries his mother, and every girl marries her father. Rowling as a psychologist and a writer is going to say, wow, it worked for Sophocles. I'm not gonna play that. I'm not gonna toss that one out. This is going to be my final thing. I'm gonna play with this. I really do think the incest thing is going to be a big play, and we're going to find out, like Strike is, just how blind he is to his entire history, and how willfully blind we've been just going along with him. Hence all of the Charlotte's in the past. Charlotte's in the past. We're never going to see Charlotte again. I'm like, wow. Do you not see how you have been totally snookered by the Strike point of view? You have totally embraced exactly the story as he experiences it. And that scene in the Almelchian Chapel, that's the critical scene. That's when we have all our resolution about Charlotte. I mean, that's where Strike projects his delusions about his ex.
So, guys, Guys, don't forget to tune in the week after publication of Sleep Tight, Evangeline, where you can listen to me and John explain how we were right, even though none of what we said appeared in the book.
Don't cancel your subscription. That's going to be the best show we've ever had. Whoa, a brand new mystery and no longcasters, no Sasha Lagarde. There's nobody in here. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Well, I've had my show, Nick. Where have we mentioned the fact that I guessed that Robin was sterile on this thing? That I get the ectopic pregnancy?
I don't think we've mentioned that yet, have we?
All right, well, let's talk about that, Nick. Yeah. I don't even think we got to our first show before that was online, and people would just go. No, it is funny. People who laughed about the whole ectopic pregnancy idea and that the chlamydia had something to do with it. I think you told me that one of the Strike fandom people that will go unnamed said, I have to admit, if I'd thought of that, I'd be really proud of myself. Anyway, these kind of bullseyes, I've had so many misses. The only value in the bullseyes is to say, how did I get to the bullseye?
Yeah.
It was using the mythology and the structure of the books, etc., and that brought you to that conclusion. And other than yourself, everybody else was like, yeah.
Now let's be completely honest, John. I was pretty skeptical.
Well, you're British though. You didn't show it. You were very polite. Let's have a meeting. That's a reference to. There's a whole list of what the British say.
Yeah.
What the American thinks they mean.
Yeah.
And what the Brit actually means. So Nick, what are the best ones on that list? I mean, there's let's have a meeting.
That's a great point, John. I'll consider on that. You're a fool. Get away from me. I never want to talk about this again.
And the American's like, oh, we have a meeting scheduled. Anyway, so you were skeptical, but you were saying, it's an interesting topic, and this is John's show. What the heck? I'm hosting the thing, but this madman is anyway. But I should have guessed that, Nick, because when you read the third chapter or the fourth chapter of the book, and you were like, oh my, the madman was right. Anyway, so we've had that moment with Hallmark Mail, I was like, yeah, how about it? Imagine the reverse where we've been talking for, I don't know, 2 years about Hallmark Man being the first, being the Fellowship of the Ring to her trilogy here. And nobody from the next, it's just all gone. We're going.
Guys, it's worth staying with us just to watch us squirm.
You'll come in and this bookshelf will be down, and I'm underneath the bookshelf doing that. Oh my gosh, it killed me. And the worst part about this is, Nick, I imagine Rowling has somebody on her team, her staff of thousands, Team Rowling Incorporated, has to monitor all these fan sites. And they slide a little note saying they're talking about this, and she'll do a Martin Chuzzlewit thing and take the plot, in different directions. No.
I don't know. I think if she's smart, and I think Rowling is smart, I think I would maybe want clips, but I wouldn't want clips of what people were talking about for plot points, because then you do what Rowling says she'd never do. You start writing for or against the fans. And I think she's so good at making stories. She'd be a fool to even attempt to do that.
Seriously, when you see the structure of the first 7 books and how it parallels the Potter series, where she's kind of hat tipping herself.
Yeah.
And then, Nick, you spend the better part of a year charting out each one of the chapter sets in her latest book. And
Yeah.
you see the thing. And she suggests in some of these interviews, like she's just, oh yeah, I've been thinking about this. I mean, come on, she's had this whole 10-book series laid out from the start. And she's been toying with us, from the gun. And probably just, I bet the kids get together, Decca and the boys, and they do that. Oh, you see this? They're saying this about that. You feel like a yo-yo. You're being played like this for the Rowling Murray family, get-togethers. They do that. Oh man, have you seen the two clowns at Hogwarts Professor talking about this? Oh well. Glad to oblige you, Joe, for your family's entertainment. Here we are, to do this.
Well, if she gets fun out of it, I think it's only fair because we get so much fun out of it.
That's right. This seriously is. We're doing exactly what I think she wants her readers to do, is to become really engrossed inside the story, and yet at the same time always have one step back out of the story where we're thinking about what the author is doing, admiring her craft, and doing the Lake stuff as well, saying, gosh, isn't it weird that there's this manor on the hill in every one of these books? Oh well, if people say we're dredging her lake and we're doing all these terrible things, sorry. I think that's exactly what she wants to be done. She doesn't want to be dead when all this stuff is happening. She wants to be in the midst of it. She wants someone to notice that iron bridge into Wales that's down the street from where she lived.
Oh, it's got structural problems. There's no foot traffic at the moment. There was an item on the news a couple of weeks ago. So it's
England and Wales have been cut off.
No. So this is an old Victorian cast iron bridge. There are several somewhat newer ones.
Let's I want to thank all the people that write to us.
Yeah.
With these theories, Fiona, Rubes, Cheryl.
The comments are just consistently amazing. Everyone.
The likes. People like. I wrote a post this last week. We'll have to do a show on this about the paid subscribe. This was for everybody, but the paid subscribers are going to get this book, The Traditional Theory of Literature, by Roy Livingston. That the first question, of course, is Tamara. Damn spell's right there. John, what about symbolism? Because she noticed that. I think she noticed that in the glossary, there's nothing about symbols. Yeah. I was like, yeah, that's a kind of a neat omission. So I went and I pulled up, Martin Lings's book. Probably to my mind, the best Shakespearean interpreter, of the 20th century. Yeah. He wrote a book called Symbol and Archetype, a study of the meaning of existence, which is about that's straight on perennialism.
Yeah.
And so I wrote this note, pretty long, explaining what a symbol is and why it's so important and how mysterious it was that Livingston didn't put that in the glossary, because Cumberland didn't define it, so he didn't do that. But and I thought I was really putting myself way out there, because this was supposed to be just a, here's Roy Livingston, here's the stuff, here's the links where I've talked about perennialism. And boy, I got so many likes on that comment. And I can't, folks, you have any idea what that means to the bearded guy in Belton, South Carolina, to see, like 10 likes on, okay, this is what we're really after here. The symbol is not just X stands for Y type thing, that a symbol is really instead the soul's contact with a greater reality and a referent, a living referent, in which you can have contact which transforms you. And that's what a symbol is. And that you can't understand what a human being is without understanding symbolism, because man is a symbol, an icon, an image of God in this time and space reality. When you start from that premise and then go to literature, as Lings does with Shakespeare, wow. Now you understand the power of literature and its importance. If you don't understand symbolism, you don't get that.
Oh,
And that's really what perennialism is about, is understanding what a human being is rightly, because you can't fix what's wrong until you've done that. Anyway, well, there's a segue, Nick.
yeah.
The three projects I'm working on. All right, the first project is pretty straightforward. It's my wife, my long-suffering wife. She was typing this copy of Roy Livingston's 1962 book, A Traditional Theory of Literature, which gives the perennialist view about that, which is largely Ananda Kentish Kumaraswamy's, or AKC's, theory of literature, which is an incredible book, because it was before Kumaraswamy's work was all compiled. And it really, when you study Kumaraswamy's book, I mean, the guy lived in the United States, he was born in Ceylon, he was educated in England. The guy's work was published in journals from, Bengal and Ceylon and India to the Far East to the United States and England. Nobody compiled them, and Livingston pulls them together and puts this into this book. It's a brilliant book, and it's a wonderful introduction to perennialism with respect to literary theory. And that's just a small part of perennialism. It's an adjunct study of it, but it turns upside down the entire world of critical theory, because it says, no, you have the wrong idea of what a human being is and what imagination is. And so you can't possibly understand the tools of real literature and why it has the effect it does on a human being. So paid subscribers are going to get that book. I'm going to type it out. It's in the public domain. Type it out, send it to you, and we'll have conversations in the comment thread. And maybe every once in a while, Nick, you and I will have a conversation about it. But that's part one. That's pretty straightforward. That's just my wife typing it, me editing it, putting some links in. The second one is really a much more ambitious project, and it's largely a fruit of my frustration. I've been trying to find a publisher for a book or a book series where I've, in anticipation of the HBO Plus Bronx Studios adaptation of the Harry Potter novels, because Pottermania is about to explode upon us again, Nick, with this new series. It's going to run for 10 years. And all of Generation Hex, who grew up reading these books, they've all got their kids now. And the aunts and uncles and grandparents who read the stories, they're going to read these things to the next generation. Wonderful, wonderful stuff. But nobody wants to publish a book on J.K. Rowling right now. Why would that be, Nick? Why would nobody want to write?
Because they're crazy. That's why.
Seriously, this is like Hollywood doesn't make G-rated movies.
Yeah.
When all the G-rated movies make the most money.
Yeah.
And you're kind of like, okay, that means you're just stupid. You're just stupid. Right? Okay, I got it. I mean, stupid is the rule. I got it. They don't want to write a book on J.K. Rowling because I sent you a tweet, I think. They broke down the major publishers, their composition, male, female, gay, straight, trans, whatever. And straight males and transgender people have exactly the same percentage at about 8% inside the industry. It's predominantly, forgive me, liberal women, and they hate J.K. Rowling in that world.
A liberal woman.
Really, Nick? Yeah, that transphobic turf, Anyway, so I can't even get an agent to look at any book that I've written about this. Here I am. Oh well, not to blow the own horn, but if anybody's going to get a book on Harry Potter that's going to sell, it would be me. And I got the track record, I got the manuscript. They're not interested. So I thought, well, what can I do here? And this came up in the conversation Nick and I've had about what can we do for our paid subscribers, because you're supposed to do things for your paid subscribers. Yeah. So I'm writing the book. I'm writing Harry Potter for Grown-ups. Used to be a name of a fan group. They've gone out of business. I've taken their title. Harry Potter for Grown-ups, The Serious Reader's Guide to Harry Potter, Volume 1, Philosopher's Stone. and I'm writing it out, and the first one will go out to everybody. It has introduction, the annotated table of contents, etc. And in which I say what we're going to do. Through the 7-book series, I'm going to put out a volume, each one of those things where we talk about Lake Shed and Golden Threads. How, what we know about what we know about those books now, having the entire series of Harry Potter, and how many books since Harry Potter? I mean, we had the 7 books of Harry Potter, and she's written how many books now, Nick?
So we've got Casual Vacancy, Ichabog, Christmas Pig.
That's 10.
And then we've got the 8 Strike.
18. We have the 3 screenplays.
We certainly don't count the last one of that, because it's not even got her name on it. And there's the 3 Hogwarts Library books. And
Cursed Child, also not by J.K. Rowling.
Yeah.
So let's say there are 20. Yeah, just melt all those things into a big pile and say, okay, give us a couple books out of that. So she's written 20 books, and I'm writing a book about the first book. What do we know from the next 19 books about what we couldn't possibly know when we got that first book? And frankly, this is a lot of fun for me, because it's been a long time really since I've gone back and read. The Dean of Harry Potter Scholars does not have Harry Potter on endless loop. I just don't read the books that often. It's been a long time, and it is so much fun to go back, Nick, and read that. Now, I shout out here to Demetra Feeney, who is doing what she calls the slowest of slow rereads. Now, if you don't know Tolkien scholarship, you really can't appreciate Demetra Feeney's place in it. Maybe she's the dean of Tolkien's. That's a much more competitive field, right? But she's going through the Lord of the Rings in the slowest of rereads, and you won't believe the scholarship and the fun of what she's doing. I mean, she did a whole post that was just about Gandalf's first appearance in the Lord of the Rings and the clothes that he was wearing, and it's links with all the literature that Tolkien could have known and could have referenced, and the pictures and all that. It's so brilliant. And I thought, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that with one, because I can't. I don't have that kind of grasp of the scholarship. I mean, everything I read by Demetra, it's so fun. It's infectious.
Oh yeah.
But it has the same depth as the Beatrice Grove stuff. You're just kind of like, whoa, where does this person come from? I know, Salamis. I know she comes from there. But that it's inspired me to go back and read Philosopher's Stone again. And she describes what it's like to come back to the Lord of the Rings, having done decades of research. She said she used to keep a count of how many times she read Lord of the Rings, and finally she said, I lost count of it. That's true of certainly my experience with Harry Potter. Now I've been going back to it to write this book, Harry Potter for Grown-Ups, Serious Reader's Guide, Volume 1. And it's so much fun because I've got the 20 other books screaming into my head.
Yeah.
And I've got all the stuff that you found out about the lake thing. And they're like, oh my goodness, there is it's very exciting. And I hope that people here will enjoy it too, because I'm going to publish it here at Hogwarts Professor. I can't find a publisher for it, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to self-publish it, or but no, let's just go with I'm going to self-publish it. So it'll come out in September or October of this year for sales for the Christmas release of Harry Potter. People can have a chance to read that before they get the adaptations. And the first one is going to be for regular subscribers, and then the rest is going to go behind the firewall for the paid subscribers, because they I've got to do things that are special for them. Now the last project is the long ballyhooed and promised online course, basically Rowling Studies 101. And that's going to be Lake Shed Golden Threads, we're going to talk about the 15 elements of things that you just have to know to get rolling Philosopher's Stone to Sleep Tight Evangeline. And that's going to be a wonder. And we're going to start that off with a free course for everybody. It's going to be 3 or 4 classes where I'm going to talk about Lake Shed and Golden Threads. And if you're interested, then you can sign up for the class. If you're a paid subscriber, you'll get it at half price. Other people pay the whole thing. But that's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be your chance to talk back to Nick and John live and have all the stuff that we've done consolidated to one place. So yeah,
Wow.
a lot of things going on here in Belton, South Carolina. And what are you doing, Nick? What's going on in your life? I do hope that I do. You told me about the bridge. I think you should get one of those GoPro helmets with a camera on it.
Yeah.
I think you need to go recon that bridge.
Well, I have been promising for a while that I need to do some a return to Tuts Hill and a lake walk around Tuts Hill, and maybe put something together that we can put up on Substack. I have to say, the weather this weekend has been so lovely. I have been thinking, wouldn't it have been nice if I could have got up to Tuts Hill? So maybe that's something to do fairly quickly.
Speaking for everyone watching, Nick. Yeah. Come on. I mean, seriously. I've been to Tuts Hill because a friend of mine took me there, and a mind-blowing experience. And we pretty much just did a drive-by. I mean, we went into the church and we went to a tea shop, but I didn't get to see the bridge. Come on.
I didn't know about the bridge when I took you.
Oh, well, yeah. But so I didn't walk up the path to see the manor house. That's what I want to do.
Yeah.
Check that out. And none of us can do that except for you. A, we don't live there, and 2, we wouldn't know what we're seeing because we don't have your perspective on the thing. We don't know about the whole class relationships and how this plays out and what it means to go to a comprehensive versus this and that. Anyway, that's going to be great. And extra bonus, Nick, if you can get us into the inside the house and see the hole in the floor in the living room.
The trap door.
The trap door. Yeah. I'm seriously, major points, Nick. If you can, pull all your strings and team rolling to see if you can get to the. They just knock on the door and say, I understand there's a trap door in here.
We're British. If I knock on the front door with a clipboard and maybe a high vis jacket,
I want to check out. Oh, that's great.
Trap door inspector.
I understand you're keeping your milk cool in there.
Yeah.
Just here to take the temperature. You're like they'll have a grandfather clock on top of it. You'll be like, oh, my goodness, that's going to be hard to move.
Wonderful.
Seriously, I wonder how fast how long it takes them to call the police and say, I got a man here. Claims he's a trap door inspector. Number 13957 on his. In the United States, they would, of course, just shoot you. But it's Britain.
Yes.
You guys.
Yeah. No. Over here, we just tut, and that's pretty cutting, John. Nobody wants to be tutted at.
I thought you said cutting. I thought, oh, she has a knife. She doesn't have a gun. She has a gun. All right. Again,
this has been a lot of fun.
Thank you to everybody that's been writing to us. Thank you for your tolerance as we talk about the bog of ick around incest. I mean, seriously, and wouldn't that be exactly where Rowling, the psychologist writer, wants to take you? Is into the bog of ick.
Into the bog of ick.
It just makes you think of, oh my goodness, thoughts I've had about my brothers or sisters and my mom and my dad. I mean, and that weird uncle and what he did to my cousins. Oh my goodness. Rowling wants to put you right into the bog of ick, and we're going there. We're going there, folks. It's going to be an incest finale. I think we may have known that since Rosmare's Home appeared so mysteriously in Lethal White that it was going to have a big suicide incest finish. And she chose the only book in literature that has a big incest suicide finale. Look for those white horses, Nick.
Yeah.
Those white horses are coming. Those white horses are coming.
Thank you, John.
Until next time.
Yes. Thank you, John. Take care, everyone.